Welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host. Why'd I do that part? Gary Vaynerchuk. And this, my friends, is the Thunder Show, aka the internet's 19th most popular wine program. And it's called the Thunder Show because back in when I was like 14, 15, 16, when somebody would do something good, I would say, you brought the thunder. Like if you dunked on somebody or juked them in a little football or did something good in Sega Genesis, you brought the thunder. And that became my slang for when things did well. And then when I got into wine in my early years, I would taste a wine and be like, this wine brought the thunder. That, my friends, is why it is the Thunder Show. And when a wine brings a great wine, when a wine brings a lot to the table, we say that it's bringing the thunder. And hopefully, I'm probably actually being extremely egotistical by calling it the Thunder Show, because by calling it the Thunder Show, I'm making a statement that this show rocks the internets. And so far, it seems like there's a couple people watching, so it's going well. I appreciate that, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you today, and we've got a bunch of things to talk about. And today's show is completely inspired by one man. No, that was fun though. By one human being, and that human being's name is Chris Viola. Today is his 35th birthday, and he has loving family members who wanted him to get a big shout out, and they wanted me to taste the Rex Goliath, which we will get into in a little bit, because supposedly that's his big favorite wine. And so, since I had to do that, and was also asked to do the B.R. Cohn Silver Label Cab, though we don't have that in stock, so that made it impossible, I decided to wrap a little show around it. Inexpensive, under $8 or $8 Cabernet Sauvignon, little everyday action for a grape that really brings a lot of happiness to this earth, the Cabernet Sauvignon, which a lot of people drink intensely. And we've got one from South Africa and then two from California, and we'll get into those in 1 second. But now I have a couple of service announcements because that's how we roll here. Number one, I will be with booth in hand and giving out little goodies with all the Wine Library homies. We're going to be rolling in deep at the Boston Wine Expo this year. So all my New England fans, the weekend after the Super Bowl, after you're all giddy because you won your 13th championship in a row in sports because you're winning them all, you can head to the Boston Wine Expo where I'll be rolling. I'd love to see all my New England fans. So many of you from Maine and New Hampshire and Rhode Island have been yapping and pinging me and saying, let's get together. This is an opportunity. So Mott, link it up right down below. Scroll down, there'll be a link to the Boston Wine Expo. It's kind of inexpensive, so hopefully you can make it. It's in about a month from now, and I'd love to see a lot of you there. That would be completely radical, and we'll have an opportunity to hang out because I'll be there basically standing by the table, you know, taking pictures, kissing babies, you know, all that stuff. Anyway, number two, Facebook. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook, like 4,000 of you are, and I appreciate that. There's going to be something very special for you in hand, and I know I'm going to get some emails tonight. The email Gary's right up here saying, what the hell, Gary? Why do I have to be part of Facebook to get this? Because I said so! And by giving out lots of different opportunities and free shipping and swag and t-shirts and wine and knowledge and free shows and all that, I am entitled to do it how I want to roll. And the way I want to roll is this. Mott, link it up. There's a fan page in Facebook now, and of course Wine Library TV has one, so you'll need to become a fan of that. There's about 200 in there. There's about 4,000 friends. I'm going to need you to roll in there and add me as a friend or as follow this fan or fan page this. There's a link somewhere on the right side. You'll figure it out. You guys are much smarter than I am. It is a key maneuver. It's kind of like burning the bush in Zelda, otherwise you won't go down and get the thing you need to move on. It is a key component to receiving something you want that will become important later down the line. So, got those two service announcements out of the way. Facebook, the Boston. Oh, one last thing. Been getting really drilled by my good friend and huge Vaniac SS, as I like to call her, Susan, about me coming to North Carolina. Now she's really trying to rally the troops. I need to go there. I have to go there. I need to know if there's enough fan base in the NC for the Thunder Show to go down there this year, because I'm planning out my whole schedule, and I've got a couple things I have to do already. So, North Carolina fans, if you want me to roll down there, we did Chicago last year. I'm contemplating North Carolina as a spot for a Vaniac party. I know New York and New Jersey's now going to say, you haven't done an official New York, New Jersey one. We've done San Fran. We've done Chicago. I feel like I've done New York and New Jersey so many times, but we do need something majorly official. Maybe we can close down Wine Library, have them all come after hours, Mott. You can play, like, you can be on the ones and twos, little Mott, little disco ball coming down from the second floor. Anyway, I am picking one spot outside the box. North Carolina is in the running because of Susan. However, I don't feel that there's enough demand in the NC. So, if you're in the NC or locally close enough that you drive to the Vaniac event in North Carolina, let's say August, September, October, July-ish. You know, kind of went back there. You see how I did it, Matt? Let me know in the comments today, or I'm not coming, Susan. I'm sorry. Excelsior 2005 Cabernet Sauvignon from South Africa. This wine rolls in at $7 and is, how do I put this, obnoxiously popular at the Wine Lib. So much so that I had the big ass glass had to be brought out for this episode. Really mainly because I want to respect these wines as I would with premium wines. I like the big ass glass. You like the big ass glass. It's one of the biggest things besides Mott Lincoln Up t-shirts. I'm probably emailed more about the big ass glass than anything else. So, we brought it out today for a show, as you can see, I'm clearly excited about. And I'm excited about trying this wine because I've never had this wine. And for the last 3 years, it's probably been one of the top 5-10 selling Cabernets for us in the shop. People adore this wine. I think New York Times or Wall Street Journal, somebody wrote about it about 2 years ago, built up its momentum. It's an inexpensive wine. And let's see if there's good reason for it. Sniffy sniff. And right off the bat, I can see some excitement building because on the nose, it's coming across quite solid. A lot of my fears and a lot of my problems with under $10 California Cabernets, Chilean Cabernets, Australian Cabernets is we get a lot into that high C fake fruit punch in your face that I am not part of or enjoying in any way. I'll drink sugar water for that, and you see that quite a bit. But this is coming across with cherries, a little bit of tar action, and I'm always in the mood for a little bit tar bubble. Little hints of green leaves, kind of like fall's just, kind of summer into fall. Like they're just making that transition when they're a little bit more aromatically exciting. Good dark chocolate as well. A very solid nose and off to a very nice start. Let's give it a whirl. So, very solid nose, but on the mouthfeel, not something. On the taste, on the palate, on my pal as I like to call it. I call my palate a pal now because I want to be friends with it. And you should call your palate a pal as well. One, it's slang and it's quicker to say. I go by Gar. You go by C-Mott. Chris, C-Mott. Actually, equal. Anyway. Embracing and helping your palate try different things is how your pal will be pals with you, so do that for it. But on my pal, it's really something that is coming across very awkward. I'm going to tell you why. It's a very complicated little wine. Not complicated, actually it's very simple. It starts off with enormous amounts of sugar, very yellowtail-like. I hate to pick on yellowtail, I do often, and I apologize. Very Rosemount, Alice White, very sugar, clear-cut sugar, sweet juice sugar flavor in the beginning. Followed by garbage. Now, garbage is not that exciting to a lot of people. So you got a lot of sugar, and then you've got garbage. And when I'm telling you, I feel like I'm sitting behind, and if you live in New York City and have ever drove, you know exactly where I'm going with this. I'm sitting behind a garbage truck on the way to work, and the red light has gone green 4 times. They're not moving. Slow-paced. Not dissing. I understand. They're doing their job, so I'm not angry. But you get frustrated a little bit here and there. So while I'm bored, because actually I'm not even that frustrated, because I understand people have to do their jobs, and I respect that, so I'm good with that. That doesn't bother me at all. Everybody else is honking. I'm not upset. What I'm doing is I'm opening my trunk, taking an enormous bag of sugar, and then walking over to the fine gentleman and pouring it over one of the bags, and then biting it and tasting that. That's what this wine tastes like, and you can imagine that is not going to appeal to most Americans. As a matter of fact, 98.6% of Americans say that's bad. So, with that being said, this is a wine that I find is very one-dimensional, sugar, garbagey, and when I'm saying garbage, I mean you legitimately know what garbage smells like in the streets of New York, and that's what I'm kind of tasting and going kind of from the taste buds through the nose, giving me that nose sensation. It almost works backwards. So it's very unique. It's very grape juice, and then that garbage I'm talking about is a flavor of banana peel, dirt, muskiness. You guys know I like the dirty, stinky stuff, but this is not like that. It's like dirty stinking cheese is great, but dirty stinky dirt is just dirty stinky dirt. And this is dirty stinking dirt, not the cheese part. I'm going to give this wine a pass. I think this wine rolls in as a 72-point wine. I don't see why so many people are adoring it. The finish is so unappealing that I just can't see people enjoying this wine other that they want to pound it for 7 bones. Let's move on. Tough start, Mott. And the nose was good. Nose was really good, actually. Now, for CV, we are doing the Rex Goliath. We're going to talk about something very important that we've not talked about a lot on the Thunder Show that I think more and more people need to know about. This is the Rex Goliath California Cabernet, and this wine rolls in at $7 as well, and you can probably actually find it for less around the country. I always noticed New Jersey was a little high in cost on this wine, but this wine does not have a vintage. And why is that significant? What that means is that Rex Goliath brand enables itself to blend various vintages. Why is this important? This is important because in California, and in other places, Australia quite a bit, people are bottling wine at a very rapid level, very mass-produced products. And so they're not using vineyards from their property. It's not the classic pictures they want to sell you where the home's on the range and the vineyards are there and Grandpappy goes out there and we pick the grapes and we make the quality wine. It is not that at all. This is very Wizard of Oz, very New England Patriots, like dun, 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 Darth Vader. It's very, very much trucks on the highway loaded with, oh look, a gas truck. A wine truck loaded with grape juice from all over the state of California. Because if you look, the appellation is California. Doesn't say Napa, doesn't say Central Coast, doesn't say Sonoma. California appellation. California. The streets of LA. The ghettos even. Wherever you want. It can come from there. And so, what's important to recognize is sometimes reading a label. When you see that's California appellation, that's fine. The next one is as well. But when you notice that there isn't even a vintage, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. As a matter of fact, some people, some great winemakers, Sean H. Daiquiri comes to mind. I mean, there's people who make great wines without it being vintage sensitive. Random Ridge, a small producer in California, has done some cool stuff non-vintage because he blended a 97 with the 98 juice. And artistes can do it all day long. Great winemakers who feel like they can blend and really get something more out of the product. This is more of a scenario of business. By not locking into a vintage, they can blend back extra barrels. It just gives them enormous flexibility. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I'm saying it's just something that I think a lot of you would find fascinating and interesting. So what this means is that this grapes are probably coming from 05, 04, 03, 06. I mean, don't forget, they could be producing and then they found a bunch of bulk juice available on the open market sitting in tank, and they could buy it. And they can buy it much more flexibly because this is now a 96, or a 2006, or 2004, 2003, and just throw it into the Rex Goliath batch. So it's very fascinating to me when I find wines with non-vintage because there's not a lot of people doing it, but I'm starting to notice more and more under $10 producers are doing it. My little rant on non-vintage stuff, kind of interesting. Not saying it's bad. I'm really not. It's giving them more flexibility. In some ways, it could make better wine. But it definitely should be put into context and realized why it's being done. Anyway, great color. Nothing wrong with that. Little snippy snip action. This has the classic nose that bothers me. Chris, don't get mad at me, but comes across a little fake, and it's also very faint. So when you're fake and faint, you're, so I don't smell much. What I do smell smells like a mixture of blackberry juice with Band-Aids, which is kind of neat in a weird way. I kind of think that's cool. Anyway, let's give it a whirl. Some nice firm tannins, a lot of acidity and heat and awkwardness and fake fruit on the finish. Once again, tastes like grape juice from a powder mix. That throws me off a little bit. In a weird way, I will recommend this to people who like Yellowtail. God, do I pick on them. For no reason, by the way. I so respect the business of it. It's like the biggest story ever. Anyway, because I think it's a little bit toned down, faker version. It's like Yellowtail takes Barry Bonds steroids. This is taking Andy Pettit steroids. Yeah, like one time. Anyway, it's a more toned down fake fruit. And I think people that are looking to segue into more vegetal wines or different wines or trying to get away from the tippy top of the New World fruit bombs that drink $8 stuff and the Magnums, this could be an interesting alternative. To me, this is a very basic wine. I think it's okay. There's nothing really, really bothering me about it. It's extremely bland. There's just what races through my mind is, oh my God, I can drink a bottle of Tonantes instead of this at $7, which is a white wine that brings me enjoyment. I can be drinking Côte d'Aron. I can be drinking a lot of wines from the southwest of France. There's just too many. Portugal that rips it. Too many alternatives and options for me at the $7 price range. Big ups to Kenny O'Brien, that make me lead away from this wine. I think it's a good old fashioned 79, 80 point wine. Nothing crazily wrong with it. A wine that I think people can get enjoyment of. It's an easy quaffer. I like the fact that the finish is not off like that kind of was, so that makes it a little bit more drinkable, but far from something that I think people should be using as their day-to-day wine. For me, for my opinion, and for my palate. I just think there's way too many interesting wines. Plus, I don't really believe in buying a case of Rex Goliath to have around the house. What does that mean? I mean, buy some great stuff to have around the house. Here, Mott, have this crappy food to have around the house. Or you can eat, like, potato chips, or good stuff, Anyway, the bottom line is that too many people throw away that case of wine. It's the throwaway case. Luckily, you can afford it, God bless, but you buy that $10 wine to have around the house, to when company comes over. Oh, we'll have the Kendall Jackson around for when people come over, or the Yellowtail, or the Rex Goliath. That's a big mistake. There's so much great wine under $10. Like yesterday's show showed us, that there's way too much opportunity, and hopefully the next wine will be that opportunity. Way too much other opportunity to find good wines in that $6 to $10 range that you don't need to give away a throwaway wine. It's kind of like great pitchers. They don't have throwaway pitches. That pitch was wide and outside for a purpose. They're going to jam you inside. So either you could be, a Bob Gibson or a smart pitcher like Oral Hershiser was, or you can just throw it. I prefer pitchers, and pitchers are wines that are great at $8, $10. And you can buy so many Côte d'Arons and so many other great little values that I don't agree with the throwaway concept that I think Rex Goliath, Yellowtail, Kendall Jackson, Santa Margarita, Corbeau, Mouton Cadet, these wines fall into. Let's have it around the house when, the guy comes over for a quick, glass of wine after work, or the girls come over. Why? I don't know. Carlin Brown, 2005, California Cabernet, $8 and a brand that gets a lot of attention. Another brand that we completely dominate with, under 10 bones, that people are just adoring California Cabernet, and so people want to roll in at this price point. And Carlin Brown has really established itself as a value-driven player in this market. Through the years, have gotten scores like 87, 86, 88 from Parker, which have really boosted its distribution and excitement in the wine game. I'm going to smell this wine now. Was that a classic moment in Wine Library where I've moved from something to something? Because I think it might be mine. Just want people to know I'm going to smell this wine now. I like that. Now this wine has a little bit more complex fruit. As a matter of fact, on the nose, it almost gives me more characteristics of Bordeaux than it does of California until the end, and it gives me a good blast of sunshine and reminds me it's from Cali. Really nice cassis, almost like raw meat kind of component coming through, which I'm finding fascinating. There's a little of that high C fruit at the end, Skittles, candy. It's candy, but not too bad. Let's give it a whirl. Definitely the strongest effort of the bunch, bar none. And this is what makes wine fascinating to me. 8.77, no comparison. A much more serious wine, great backbone, great fruit, has some length, some weight to this wine, which I appreciate. Some really nice blackberry, some blueberry components. I'm enjoying the black fruit overall. Little hints of vanilla, little cedar. Textbook Cabernet, reminding me very much of Rodney Strong, Simi, Clos du Bois. A lot of the $15 players in California roll in exactly like this. This is a good effort. I'm very happy with this effort. I'm going to score this wine 87 points. A really nice bottle of wine, and for 8 bones, an out-and-out steal, and light years ahead of these two other wines. Great example of, well, Gary, why was it rated close when it's only 6 points? Because ratings are not a perfect science, and it's just how it goes. And secondary, you should always listen to the tasting notes. listen or read them when you see them on the shelf. And most importantly, you shouldn't give a crap about ratings. Let's not even talk about it anymore. It's all about embracing your own palate, trusting your own palate, and trying different things. However, I know I'm a guide, and a lot of you now, as we roll in on our 2-year anniversary, have been able to gauge your palate against me, and that's why I really try to break down the wine for you. Cedar, vanilla, good weight, much heavier wine, just much more real. No makeup, lots of makeup. Just real. Natural, not natural. So, just a much more real effort, a great job, and very good stuff. Mott, the 2 link it ups, you just watched the show, scroll down and look for the 2 links at the end of the show. Click them. A lot of fun behind them. And more importantly, thank you all so much. So many comments yesterday with locations. That was cool. Fun to see where all the Vaniacs are from, Mott. What do you think? Good stuff. Question of the day. What is your everyday wine right now? Do you have a go-to everyday wine right now? Whether it's a specific wine, a type of wine, a wine area, whatever it is. Because I think you know where I'm going here. You, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, whether they like it or not. And let me tell you, a lot more people are liking it now than not. Tide is turning.